Have you ever wondered why Romani weddings are so loud, colorful, and full of mysterious rituals? It's not merely a celebration, it's a true ceremony in which every element holds significance. Did you know that in some communities the groom must undergo tests of strength and generosity before the wedding? And when it comes to the first wedding night, the real trials begin. That moment carries a sacred meaning. Today, I will share with you the most unusual traditions of Romani weddings that may seem strange to us, but to this people are as binding as law. You'll be especially amazed by the magical ceremonies. Apparently, without them, a wedding simply cannot take place. Make yourself comfortable because there is much fascinating detail ahead. And believe me, some of these customs will astonish you. In Romani culture, marriage is not just the union of two individuals but the merging of two families. Therefore, selecting the bride happens well in advance and is based on agreements between the parents. The future couple often knows about their marriage since childhood, and in some cases parents negotiate before their children are even born. An interesting point. In certain communities, not only family status matters, but also compatibility according to traditional beliefs, such as omens, horoscopes, and ancient superstitions. For instance, if both the girl and the young man share similar birthmarks, it is considered a good sign, whereas a visible scar may be interpreted as an ill-fated omen. Another important aspect is the age of marriage. Girls traditionally marry between 13 and 16 years old, while boys are usually slightly older. This custom stems from the belief that early marriage ensures a girl enters her husband's family with her honor intact. If a young woman remains unmarried by 18, it raises suspicion and makes finding a match more difficult. Interestingly, in some modern families, this practice is relaxed, allowing girls to marry later, especially if they pursue education or live in urban areas. The groom's parents visit the bride's home bearing gifts, which may include money, jewelry, or even livestock. If the bride's family consents, wedding preparations begin. In certain communities, the groom offers the bride's family a dowry payment known as a gesture of gratitude for the future wife. This could include valuables, gold, or even real estate. In wealthy families, the may be worth several houses. In communities, only symbolic offerings suffice. Such traditions underscore that a wedding is not merely personal, but a social event determining two families' futures. In Romani culture, the bride must prove herself worthy of being a wife. There are specific trials she must endure before the wedding. One of the best known is the test of domestic skills. She must show she can cook, clean, sew, and manage a household. Sometimes the bride prepares a festive meal for the groom's entire family, which elder women evaluate. If the dish fails to meet expectations, mockery ensues, and the wedding may even be postponed. In some regions, the bride must carry buckets of water on a shoulder yoke over a set distance, testing her strength and endurance. In other areas, she sews her own wedding dress to demonstrate her perseverance and diligence. In some families, she is tasked with quickly tidying the groom's home to prove her housekeeping abilities. Another key trial is showing respect for elders. The bride must honor her future mother-in-law and other senior family members by standing to greet them, serving food first, and speaking only with permission. In certain households, she undergoes an oral examination on the family's values, traditions, and the groom's lineage. Although modern families may not adhere to these tests strictly, many Romani girls still perform symbolic trials before marriage to demonstrate their readiness for their new life. While the bride proves her domestic competence and humility, the groom must show he can provide for and protect his wife. In traditional communities, he faces tests that showcase his strength, stamina, and capacity to care for his family. One common rite is the test of physical power. In some regions, the groom must lift or carry a heavy object, such as a sack of grain, a log, or even a family member. In others, there is a wrestling match where he must defeat an opponent to demonstrate he can protect his bride from any danger. Agility tests also occur, for example, catching a chicken or swiftly completing a tricky task. In some areas, his horsemanship is examined, since horse riding remains a valued skill in traditional Romani culture. A young man who cannot ride confidently may be deemed unsuitable for marriage. Generosity is equally important. The groom presents lavish gifts to the bride and her family, gold jewelry, money, or precious items. The richer the gift, the more it demonstrates his willingness to provide. In some families, there is a money test where he showers musicians or the bride's relatives with cash during the celebration. Although modern Romani are less strict about these customs, many communities still uphold the groom's trials to emphasize that a husband must be strong, generous, hardworking, and respectful of tradition. A highly controversial ritual is the symbolic abduction of the bride. Depending on the region, this rite is enacted differently, but its purpose remains the same: to prove the groom is determined enough to win his future wife. By prior arrangement with the bride's parents, she disappears from her home and reappears at the groom's house, where it is declared she is now his wife. In other versions, friends of the groom stage the abduction, prompting the groom to rescue her. Notably, the bride consents to this tradition by allowing herself to be taken, showing her agreement to the marriage. In traditional families, a rescued bride cannot return to her parents' home without bringing shame upon them. Thus, many marriages in the past were through such abductions, even if the parents initially objected. In urban settings, this ritual is often a playful game in which the groom must ransom his bride from her friends. Yet in some conservative communities, the symbolic abduction remains a central wedding custom, underscoring the man's role as conqueror and protector. A Romani wedding is more than a party. It's a festival that can last for days. The more guests, the grander the celebration, since a large turnout demonstrates a family's prosperity. In some communities, invitations extend to hundreds, and everyone must not only attend but actively participate. Music plays stop, dancing continues until dawn, and tables sag under the abundance of food. The goal is to show that the newlyweds form a powerful new unit. Clan elders play a crucial role, blessing the couple, overseeing tradition, and resolving any disputes among guests. In certain regions, the festivities begin with a parental blessing ceremony. The bride and groom take turns kissing their parents' hands, receiving words of wisdom and symbolic gifts. Wedding garments are not mere clothing but statements of status, wealth, and respect for tradition. The bride's dress dazzles with bright hues, rhinestones, embroidery, sequins, and even mirrors. The more elaborate and heavier the gown, sometimes weighing 10 kilograms or more, the greater the display of affluence. Some brides commission 3 dresses, one for the ceremony, one for the banquet, and one for dancing. Jewelry is indispensable. Gold, chunky bracelets, rings, and necklaces sparkle, signaling the family's ability to afford lavish spending. Often these pieces are heirlooms passed down through generations, embodying both beauty and lineage. The groom also dresses distinctively, donning a colorful suit, red, blue, or burgundy, with gold accents, polished shoes, and sometimes a hat. A gold chain or ring symbolizes his maturity and readiness for marriage. In more traditional clans, he wears an embroidered shirt and handcrafted vest that reflect national style. No Romani wedding is complete without spirited dancing and live music. These aren't just entertainments but integral rituals, each movement and note laden with meaning. The couple's first dance marks the start of their shared life. Slow at first, then accelerating to folk rhythms accompanied by violin, guitar, and drum. Guests join in. Everyone is expected to dance at least once. Some dances express emotions. The groom's mother may dance for the bride to signify her approval, or bridesmaids might encircle the bride to form a protective circle of solidarity. Musicians hold a place of honor. They don't merely play, they lead the festivities, set the mood, and ensure the celebration's success. The finest Romani bands are renowned across regions and are often summoned from afar. In many traditional communities, the first wedding night is the crucial moment that validates the marriage. Historically, a bloodstain was presented as proof of the bride's virginity, a ritual that, if unmet, could spark scandal or annulment. Today, this practice is increasingly rare. In some regions, the couple receives a blessing before their first night, with elder family members, often grandparents, offering guidance on respect, harmony, and marital duties. These blessings are conducted ceremoniously in private. Although many families have moved away from stringent customs, they still honor the sacredness of this moment. The couple often receives protective talismans, embroidered cloths, icons, or wrapped salt, intended to ward off evil spirits, envy, and misfortune. With the first night begins the bride's new existence in her husband's family. She adopts new clothing styles, becomes part of his clan, and may even receive a new name, especially if her birth name conflicts with a senior family member's. She then learns household responsibilities, and her standing in the family depends on how well she fulfills her duties and how she is received by her in-laws.